There was another very dramatic day in a New York courtroom as Trump accuser E. Jean Carroll took the stand for a second day. Her allegation that Trump raped her back in the 1990s, the subject of very intense cross-examination by the former president's defense team today. CNN's Paula Reid is outside the courthouse in New York for us. Paula, some extremely heated exchanges, I take it, in the trial today.
That's right, Wolf. The whole trial is really on the line with this cross-examination. Today, the jury witnessed Trump's attorney, Joe Tacopina, grilling E. Jean Carroll. At times, she spoke through tears as he questioned her about details of her story and her motivation for bringing this case.
Thank you.
E. Jean Carroll grilled on her allegations that Donald Trump raped her in a department store in the 1990s. This on the third day of her civil battery and defamation lawsuit in a federal court in Manhattan. Trump defense lawyer Joe Tacopina cross-examined Carroll for hours today about her story and her motivations. Using your own words, the facts that you have alleged in the story you have alleged here are odd, Tacopina said. Carroll responded, certain parts of this story are difficult to conceive of. Yes. The exchange becoming heated when Tacopina repeatedly asked Carroll why she didn't scream during the alleged assault. I'm not a screamer. I was too much in panic to scream. You can't beat up on me for not screaming. Tacopina shot back, I'm not beating you up. I'm asking you questions, Miss Carroll. Through tears, Carroll asserted, I'm telling you he raped me, whether I screamed or not. I don't need an excuse for not screaming. Tacopina, an experienced trial attorney, also currently defending Trump in an unrelated criminal case being brought by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, is known for his brash style of defending clients.
No, it can't be. This was a federal presidential election. The allegation here, in some Twilight Zone sort of scenario.
Outside court, a Trump spokesperson said the case is entirely political, and Trump himself accuses Carroll of lying, saying her case is, quote, a made-up scam. Tacopina pressed Carroll on why she waited until 2019 to go public with her story. She said she was mourning her mother's death, and then, I thought this may be a way to change the culture of sexual violence. The light dawned. We can actually change things if we all tell our stories. And I thought, by God, this may be the time. Court has wrapped here for the day. Tacopina told the judge that he's about halfway through his cross-examination. No court tomorrow, so Carroll is expected to be back on the witness stand Monday to face more questions from Trump's legal team. Wolf.
So many legal challenges facing Trump right now. Paula Reid in New York, thank you.
I'm joined now by CNN legal analyst Karen Friedman. Agnifilo, a former Manhattan Chief Assistant District Attorney. Karen, thanks so much for being with us. A big day in this case, maybe the biggest day, with E. Jean Carroll on the stand facing cross-examination. How do you think she held up?
It sounds by all the reporting that she held up quite well under this cross-examination. But I really think the type of cross-examination she was subjected to is Exhibit A about why women don't come forward. I mean, just the fact that she was questioned about what she did and didn't do, why she didn't scream, and really making her feel like she did something wrong when she was the one who was attacked, right? And she froze and she did the best she could in the moment. But this is the type of truly blistering cross-examination that why women don't come forward in the first place.
How does what you describe as blistering cross-examination, how does that play inside the courtroom, though? Joe Tacopina, he was actually warned several times by the judge to back off in certain lines of questioning there. Is that something the jury takes notice of? How hot is too hot?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is the Me Too movement, as E. Jean Carroll has said, has really done a lot in terms of awareness for women and just people in general, that there really is no way that women are supposed to respond, or there's no perfect way to respond. You know, people do the best they can. And when people like Joe Tacopina, who is a skilled lawyer, but in this particular instance, his method of cross-examining her really seems questionable to me, that he would do this bull in the china shop method where it's like he's victim blaming, victim shaming. I mean, this is a situation where he's saying nothing happened, not that, oh, it was consensual. You know, this is the type of cross-examination you would expect someone like Joe Tacopina to give in a case where he's saying it was consensual, you were laughing, you didn't scream, etc. But instead he's saying these things to her that are just actually quite offensive, and you can tell the judge was very upset with him and repeatedly struck him down and told him he was being argumentative and he was being repetitive and stopped him from making these arguments, and the jury will notice that for sure.
Now, the date. E. Jean Carroll says, and has said all along, she can't remember the exact date, even the year that this necessarily happened.
Yeah.
How does that play, and how does the fact that she has been so forthcoming with that, and I think she and the plaintiffs were trying to protect her against cross-examination here, how do you think that lands?
So I think a lot of the issues that are being raised, like the dates, like why you didn't scream, et cetera, I think that's why in a prosecution where you have to, beyond a reasonable doubt, prove a case, you would call a sexual assault expert to the stand that would talk about these types of things. Like, you might not remember the year if it was decades ago exactly, but you'll remember there's certain aspects of a trauma that will be seared in your brain forever. And it's a well-known phenomenon when it comes to sexual assault that there will be types of information that never varies, never changes, and is truly seared in your brain forever. But other things like what year it was or the exact date, what other people were on the 6th floor. I know that was something that Joe Tacopina was trying to say. Oh, you didn't notice other people there. Why would she notice other people there, right? She was uber focused, highly focused on her attacker. And those are all things that experts in sexual assault will say is entirely consistent with a trauma such as a sexual assault, a violent sexual assault like this.
And very quickly, just remind us the difference between a civil and a criminal trial here.
Yeah, so a criminal case is a much higher burden. You have to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, and there someone would go to prison potentially if they're convicted. A civil trial is a much lower burden where it's a preponderance of the evidence. And the way people describe it, it's like the scales of justice, are 50-50, and you put a feather on the scale. It's like 50.01% gets you over the finish line of preponderance of the evidence. And in a civil case, it's about monetary damages.
Karen Friedman, Agnifilo, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.